Do you suffer from social anxiety? Are you tired of holding yourself back? Are you ready to stop missing out on good times and great people? Are you dying to feel comfortable, or dare I say, confident, in social situations instead of feeling like dying? I can teach you how. With one decision and a few techniques, I changed my entire life. And you can too. I suffered from social anxiety for nearly 3 decades. I was uncomfortable in pretty much every type of social situation. I was so self-conscious. I cared way too much about what other people thought of me. I didn't think much of myself either. I didn't always know what to say, and I was so afraid to say or do anything that would make me stand out. Awkward pauses? I'd dive on a grenade to get away from them. Same thing if the spotlight was going to shine on me for some reason. I despise public speaking. I didn't even like picking up the phone to order a pizza, and I love pizza. In college, I called beer my social lubricant. I was a completely different person after a few cold ones. I don't condone it. It was just my best strategy at the time to deal with my social issues. Luckily, my wife liked the strong, silent type. Otherwise, I would have been single for years. I think there was a divine intervention to get me to dance on my wedding day. Maybe you've had similar difficulties. Or maybe you get physical symptoms like sweating or trembling, or are afraid to make eye contact when you're speaking with someone. It took a long time before I came up with the recipe to finally rid myself from social anxiety. And it was the best thing I ever did. I now thrive in social situations and actually enjoy them. I'm going to share that recipe with you so that you can find peace and confidence in your social life. I promise you it's achievable. Social phobia is an overwhelming fear of social situations, but you already know that. It's shyness on steroids. I'm not going to go in depth on all the symptoms or clinical definitions. If you're here, you want to fix it, not fall asleep. But if we want to conquer it, we do need to understand a little bit about what causes it. Understanding the root causes of social anxiety disorder is complex, involving a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. While the exact causes of social anxiety are multifaceted, digging into negative thought patterns and cognitive distortions provides valuable insights into the psychological underpinnings of this condition. I don't know about you, but I was a big catastrophizer. People with social anxiety often imagine the worst possible outcomes of social situations. This distorted thinking can magnify the perceived threat of embarrassment or judgment, reinforcing avoidance behaviors. Sufferers also engage in mind reading, assuming they know what others are thinking about them. This cognitive distortion leads to a heightened sense of self-consciousness and can contribute to the cycle of negative thoughts. You may also overgeneralize negative experiences, applying them to all future social interactions. A single awkward encounter can become a generalized belief that all social situations will be similarly uncomfortable. Should statements can also be a problem. Socially anxious people may impose unrealistic expectations on themselves, such as believing they should always be witty or charming. When these expectations are not met, it leads to increased anxiety and self-criticism. Over time, these cognitive distortions become ingrained, influencing how you, I, and others perceive and respond in social situations. Addressing social anxiety involves challenging and reframing these distorted thoughts. We're going to dive into how to do this and how to face your fears. I'm also going to give you strategies to help you navigate social situations, so make sure you watch until the end, but we're going to start with the power of decisions. Do not discount the power of a committed decision. I got so fed up with my social anxiety and how it was limiting me in my life. One day I just said, enough is enough. I made a decision to stop caring what other people thought about me. It was none of my business. I was just going to be me, and if people didn't like me, they weren't my people. It was a top 5 day of my life, and the most liberating experience of my life, and you can have a day like this too. So, make a decision to stop caring what others think of you. Commit to it. Own it. I also found great success in visualizing positive outcomes in social situations. I highly recommend this to you. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary, so you can train your brain to be calm and confident in social situations by vividly imagining successful social interactions. Picture yourself confidently engaging in conversation, expressing yourself with ease, and navigating the situation effortlessly. Use the Neville Goddard technique. Feel it real. Engage not only the visual, but also the emotional aspects of your imagination. Feel the sense of accomplishment, the warmth of positive interactions, and the satisfaction of overcoming social challenges. Identify the specific social scenarios that trigger your anxiety. Whether it's attending a party, speaking up in a meeting, or initiating a conversation, focus your visualization on these particular situations. Tailor the mental imagery to address specific challenges you anticipate in these scenarios. This could include making eye contact, initiating conversations, or handling unexpected questions. Make visualization a regular part of your daily routine. Set aside dedicated time to engage in this practice, ideally in a calm and quiet environment. Consistency is key. The more consistently you visualize success, the more ingrained these positive images become in your subconscious mind. Over time, this can contribute to a shift in your mindset and beliefs about social interactions. This, along with the power of making a committed decision, could be transformational for you. But there may be times when situations pop up and the anxiety resurfaces. We're going to challenge and reframe negative and irrational thoughts. First, you need to become aware of the thoughts that support your anxiety. Then you'll identify the thought or cognitive distortions. Ask yourself, is this fact or fiction? Challenge negative thoughts by evaluating the evidence supporting or contradicting them. Replace negative thoughts with more balanced and realistic alternatives. For example, instead of thinking, everyone is staring at me, reframe it to, people are focused on their own stuff, not me. It actually doesn't even have to be realistic. Just tell yourself whatever you need to in order to get calm. You can say, looks like everybody loves my hair, or they're looking at me because I own this room. By the way, our Live a No Limit life course goes very in-depth on cognitive distortions and reframing negative thoughts, and many other tools. But now that you understand reframing thoughts, you can hit the town. Stop hiding from your fears. You have to face them. Use exposure therapy techniques to slowly step into situations you fear. Create a fear ladder or fear hierarchy, ranking social situations from least to most anxiety-inducing. Confront each fear progressively, celebrating achievements along the way. Start with situations that trigger mild anxiety and gradually work your way up to more challenging scenarios. This systematic exposure helps desensitize you to those feared social situations. Give yourself a reward for each step you take up the ladder. As you're doing this, you can reframe negative thoughts as they pop up. You can also tie in deep breathing if you notice big physical symptoms like a racing heart or sweating. Breathe deeply in through your nose, long and slow. Breathe in for 6 to 8 seconds, and exhale for just as long, if not longer. Go as long as slow as you can. Now, we still have some more in-game strategies to share, but we wanted to touch on therapy and medication. There is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking help from a trained professional. You may want to find a CBT therapist. Many also find that general anxiety medications or propranolol, a medication, can help for a big speech or important situation, although I'd caution you on relying on band-aid strategies in the long term. It's better to go to the root causes, negative thinking, limiting beliefs, and distortions, than to rely on medication for every situation. This is not judgment against those that use medication, but I'm sure you can agree, it's better to not need the meds at all. Now let's talk about some skill building and strategies you can use in your social situations. Not everybody is a born talk show host or great communicator. Focus on others, not yourself. Most anxiety comes from it being all about you. What others think of you. Flip the script. Focus on them. What their interests are. What they've been up to. What their goals are. Who they want to meet at the party. Whatever. Just show an interest in them. Ask open-ended questions that encourage meaningful discussions. Consider being a connector, not a connectee. This builds on the last point. Instead of making it about the other person, make it about the other people. If you're somewhat familiar with the people there, see if you can help them make a connection in some way. A good way to deal with any kind of anxiety about a future situation is preparation. Arm yourself with questions to ask and stories to tell. Prepare conversation starters or anecdotes in advance, which will reduce anxiety about not knowing what to say. You can also anticipate potential topics and have relevant stories or questions ready. Practice your stories out loud or tell them to supportive people you trust so that you can practice. You can also prepare affirmations that you can repeat to yourself as you practice deep breathing, should a situation arise that puts you into anxiety. You may also want to consider a few statements to get out of conversations gracefully, although those with social anxiety are usually pretty good at that. Perhaps not gracefully, though. A simple, "It was a pleasure meeting you. I'm going to grab a bite of food or a drink," or "I've been meaning to catch up with someone over there," is all you need to say. Set situational goals. Define achievable goals, such as talking to a certain number of people at an event. At John's engagement party, I will talk to at least 3 new people for at least 5 minutes before I bury myself in a bowl of chips in the corner. Set specific, measurable goals to create a sense of accomplishment. Gradually increase the number of people you aim to interact with as you become more comfortable. You might want to limit alcohol intake to ensure a clear mind and prevent reliance on substances for anxiety reduction. If you're like I used to be and use alcohol as a social lubricant, maybe put a 2-drink limit on yourself. You don't want to drown your anxiety, you want to deal with it head-on. It's okay to take baby steps as you set these goals, but be sure to build on progress and expand your goals as time goes on. Celebrate small victories and view setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth. If something goes wrong, figure out how you'll respond next time. Remember, progress is a gradual process, and each step forward is a victory in itself. Go get 'em, Tiger. You can do this. I know you can, because I did it. But you have to know you can too. Here are your next steps. If you want to master the Feel It Real visualization technique, watch the video on the left. Or if you really want to go next level, watch our video on identity shifting on the right.